No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we do, Bronco Nation? Happy Tuesday to you. It's a Taco Bell Tuesday here at Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. I've already twice typed in a Blue and Orange Store Monday and had to change that. We shout out Blue and Orange Store. We didn't have a show yesterday, but it's Tuesday. Feels like a Monday. Back in town and ready to roll. Plenty to talk about here on Bronco Nation News Live. It is, I said, RowPaint.com is our title sponsor, ROEPaint.com. We appreciate our title sponsor, all your paint needs. Make sure you hit up RowPaint.com. And Taco Bell, it's Tuesday. Get out there, get some food from Taco Bell. You will not be disappointed. The great Cantina Bowls, whether it's the slushies, the cheesy roll-ups for the kids, the $7 Lux Cravings box. They got a lot of things to suit you there. And they are hiring as well. So check them out online at TacoBellWorks.com. It's Tuesday, and that means Mike Prater got a little bit of a break yesterday. I'm going to make him pick a different day this week. But Jay Tust, no holidays usually on Tuesdays. But Jay is here and ready to roll, and we appreciate it, sir. How we doing?
Good, man. Final AP poll just came out for Boise State, and
third highest ever, right?
Yeah, not like it really matters or whatever, but yeah, I mean, that's a pretty cool piece of history right there, I would say. I mean, to say that they achieved it, tied for the third highest ranking in the final AP poll in program history for a program that's had as much success as Boise State has. I think personally that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, fifth time ever they finished in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
They tied number 8, which was the ranking they had in 2011. First top 10 finish since 2011. They were number 9 in 2010, and then they were 4 in 2009 and number 5 in 2006. But yeah, number 8, top 10 finish, first time in more than a decade. And I guess though I saw Brett McMurphy's early poll. I guess they're not going to be ranked going into next year either, Jay.
Hey, Brett McMurphy did rank them in his final AP poll this year. And I jokingly said earlier this morning, I can't imagine how tough that was for Brett to do. Ranked them 13th, which is 5 spots lower than, they actually came in at. But, I thought that was probably pretty hard for him to do.
Yeah, no, we've had Brett on the show, man. I think he does a tremendous job with
He
a lot of
does.
reporting and in-depth stuff, but there's just
He
something weird
does.
there with Boise State, man.
I don't get it. That's what I mean. Like I've seen him at Mountain West Media Days. I had talks with him. Great dude. I don't know, but there's absolutely something there because all season long he picked against them, and it was like any opportunity he could, he picked against them. And maybe I don't know, maybe we're making too much out of it. Maybe he really believed in those situations they'd lose or something like that. But it was just kind of wild that every time he had the opportunity to go against him, he did. I don't know.
I would think, I know they lose Ashton Jeanty, and we are going to talk mostly basketball on this show, guys. The loss on Friday, which I'm sure nobody wants to rehash, and the game tomorrow night in Colorado. But I would think, I know they lost Jeanty, they lost some pieces on defense. Like if you're, but there were years there, Jay, where it didn't matter what Boise State had coming back. That was just, everyone would just put them 23rd or 24th or 25th in their poll, no matter what. And I would think that they're back in that, just what they did this year and the respect they got this year, and knowing that the quarterback is coming back. And I know, these teams, let's be honest, you're an AP basketball voter. You're not studying the starting five for the teams you're picking 24th and 25th in the preseason poll or whatever, or the 7th, 8th, 9th men. For a football team, those guys are 60-something voters. They're not going down the depth chart to see exactly who they lost or whatever. They're just saying, oh yeah, they got the quarterback back. They got, they did a pretty good year. I'm guessing Boise State's going to be decent again. 23rd, 24th. Like, that's how it usually works. So I would expect Boise State to probably be ranked. I don't think there's an obvious group of 5 team, and you got to throw somebody in there. Like, there'll probably be, 23rd, 24th, 25th. Maybe they get a little respect and they're like 19th or something. But I would suspect they'll be ranked. So I just kind of chuckle. I just kind of chuckled when I literally chuckled out loud when I saw it, because I was like, man, this is just unbelievable. But it is what it is. Somebody said that ESPN has them 24th. That's about right. I'm guessing, just till they can prove it. And you know what, though, Jay, like, is 14th better than 24th? Yes, but is 24th better than not being ranked? Like in the preseason poll, it's nice to be ranked somewhere. It helps you, have a better starting spot with that momentum and just a little bit of hype, in August or whatever. So I would suspect them to probably be somewhere in the poll to start the season next year, and I think it's probably deserved.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And really, they do return quite a bit next year. Do they lose some talent? Absolutely, but everybody loses talent. I think when you look at what Boise State was able to retain, there's some optimism there. I think that they're going to bring back quite a bit. Basically the entire starting offensive line is coming back, with the exception of Ben Dooley. And yes, Ben will be tough to replace, but I still think that they have options to replace him. And I definitely think that they're going to be a preseason top 25 team next year. The cool thing about this, BJ, though, and I caught the very end of the Kellen Moore years. You barely missed them, right? And they're like it or not, there was a period of time there where Boise State was definitely living off their reputation from that era. And so they would go into seasons ranked in the top 25, and then they'd fall out and have a tough time getting back in. The cool thing about the 2024 Broncos is that they weren't ranked in the preseason top 25, and they absolutely had to earn every bit of where they finished this thing. And so to start unranked and to finish 8th, that is one of the most successful seasons in Boise State history.
Oh, no doubt. You won a conference championship, everything they did. Yeah, it definitely, we were talking about that as it was happening. This is a historic season, one of the best, and it's got to be now. Yeah, obviously winning that Fiesta Bowl would have probably cemented it as the greatest ever, because it would have literally done more than they'd ever done before, winning the Fiesta Bowl and then having another game. But I think they set the foundation, as they said, getting some things, back to the standard, so to speak, as I think Spencer Danielson used that phrase during the press conference. So heck of a season. It was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to cover, a lot of fun for fans and everybody on here. It was just a great ride. And Jay, now 221 days, which I think could change to 229 or 230. I'm just guessing that South Florida game. No one's told me anything about that, but just that seems like a kind of game that could get moved to a Thursday or a Friday, just that long of a trip, first game of the season. I feel like South Florida is a team that might play on a Friday night or a Thursday once in a while. So I could be wrong on that, but with it being the first game and such a long trip, as of now, it's on a Saturday. I think it's 221 days, 221, and could maybe move to 220 or 219. But I know last night, the big game on everyone's mind is, October 2nd or whenever it is, 256 days until Boise State heads to South Bend.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome, man. They get to take on a team that played for the that played for the national championship. They're the national runner-up, if you will, this year. It's pretty crazy, some of the opponents that have landed on Boise State's schedule these last couple of years. I mean, they play Notre Dame next year, who played for a national title this year. They played Washington last year, who played for a national title last year. They played Oregon this past season, and the Ducks were ranked number 1 for a big portion of the season. I mean, they've had some big-time opponents on their schedule, and yeah, like I said, Notre Dame's on it next year. And, BJ, just to kind of put an exclamation mark on the season or whatever. That was a really fun year. I think really one of the most enjoyable years I've had covering the Boise State football team. There was very little like controversy that would make you roll your eyes or
with
bad attitudes. By the way,
you weren't bringing this up. That's like us included, right? Like there was you didn't have to worry about asking a question that was going to get chiped in.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff like that where it's not sour grapes or previous coaches, whatever. But there were times in the last, the 3 years before, it just wasn't always enjoyable to have to go to a press conference or those Monday press conferences or go ask a question or whatever. There were times, and I know I cut you off. I'm sorry, and maybe that's not even the direction you're taking. But for me, that made it extra more enjoyable to have a coaching staff that was fun to chat with and fun to be around and respected your time and your job. And that's a small thing, and fans don't care about that. But in terms of us, that's one of the reasons I had a lot more fun this year, was actually enjoying going to the facility.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And the players were great and the coaches were great. Another thing, like, we love our jobs and we're super lucky to do what we do. I promise you, we have very short nights at times in terms of like the sleep we get and all that stuff. So it's not always the easiest. And to have positive attitudes that, help us do our jobs versus the opposite of whatever that is it was greatly appreciated. But just to think of where the season started for us, and at Georgia Southern, Statesboro, Georgia, and it ended, epic game at UNLV, and we got to go to Eugene, and I was just so impressed by the atmosphere at Eugene and a pretty welcoming fan base for the most part. And Boise State came oh so close. And I think I still do think I remember that night, like leaving the press conference and thinking like, oh man, this is a special team, and they have a special player in Ashton Genty, and their response to that wasn't negative, but it was like, we're gonna go back to work and we're gonna find a way to get better. And then we end up in New York at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and then a couple weeks later, we're in Arizona at the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, just what a thoroughly enjoyable, cool season that we just witnessed and experienced. And it did kind of hit me yesterday, BJ, as both Ohio State and Notre Dame were kind of coming out of the tunnels, which they had like the steady cams in front of them, the kind of the extended walkout. And it kind of hit me at that point, like, man, Boise State was 2 wins away from being on that stage, from playing in that game. And I know that they beat the final score. Yes, Penn State beat them good. I get it. But we watch it through maybe a different lens. But there wasn't that, Boise State's best football. They could have had a better outcome against Penn State. And ifs don't matter, but if they showed up and played their A game, man, who knows what would have happened after that?
No doubt. Fun season. I was thinking through some of my memories too, as you were talking about that. I mean, I had one, the Wyoming game. Excuse me. With the Wyoming game, I was in the Cayman Islands with the basketball tournament, and Cody Gogler and a number of people that were down there for the tournament that didn't go to the football game. Your friend, Dan, the Atkinsons were down there, and some other folks, and we all are, informed that there's not very many places in the Cayman Islands that might get the CBS Sports Network. So panicked a little bit at first. We find a local establishment that has the game on, and we sat outside in this little patio, and I just remember like that game not going well for a while, and Wyoming being I don't remember all the particulars, but it was third, fourth quarter, and they were either losing or it wasn't going
They
well.
were. They were down. It was Breezy Dubar in the fourth quarter that scored the go-ahead touchdown. They
He had
pulled
couple
out a
nice runs
17-13
to
victory.
set it up. Yeah, but I remember Cody Gogler, just never seen a man so nervous in the fourth quarter of a football game, just knowing what was on the line of that game and, like, you know, theoretically an $8 million game or whatever, you know, to have to win the next couple of games. And so I remember just to see how locked in he was and some of those guys. And we had a good, Abe Jackson was there. We had a good time, but like even seeing it, like even watching a fourth quarter comeback in the Cayman Islands, just kind of this weird windy road, as you said, that led us to some cool places. Heck of a season, deserving. The 8 ranking is a little high for me, to be honest. Not that I'm fine with it. I just didn't think that would happen. I thought they would have probably been in that 12-13 range, like just because the one game everybody got to see them. And, you know, they had the bye, but their final ranking was what, 10? They were 10, or what was the final CFP ranking?
No, I think they were 8. I think they just stayed put, right? Or
no, they were the number 3 seed. I don't think they were 8. Were they? I thought they were like 9 or 10.
No, they were not. Yeah, they wouldn't have hosted a game. I think they were 9.
Okay, they were 9, and then they lost. So I just assumed maybe they dropped a spot or two. So
yeah,
I think the 8 ranking is a sign of respect for Boise State. And so they great season. As I said, 221 days. They have some small, you know, we'll have all off season to talk about the secondary and some of the other question marks they have. But as you said, 4 linemen, your top 2, you know, your top tight ends, a couple starting receivers, a plethora of running backs, and your quarterback back. I mean, offensively, I know you got, you know, questions in terms of the OC and the staff and how that's all going to shake down in terms of just what the offense is going to look like, you know, in terms of play calling and things like that. But defensively, got to shore up that D line, but linebackers got some guys back. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be excited. South Florida game is going to be awesome. Excuse me. And then you look at the other games, you know, Jay, that are already known at this point on the schedule. I mean, Eastern Washington comes to town, and App State. I'm kind of looking forward to Appalachian State coming to Boise on September 27th. They've been a team, you know, in the past. It kind of stinks. I mean, the 1 year UCF wasn't, you know, that was they scheduled it, and then I think they went to the Big 12 or whatever. But like for the most part, Boise State's kind of scheduled these games like 1 or 2 years too late against these teams. They scheduled Memphis, you know, a little bit too late after they were really going with Memphis for the Group of 5 bid. They got App State, you know, East Carolina. I think they canceled the series, but they had them scheduled. But like they've been scheduling these top Group of 5 teams, but a little too late than when they, you know, but App State was right there, you know, a couple years ago going for that spot too. And so that'll be a fun game. But as I said, October 4th, South Bend, that's going to be awesome. And I'm kind of glad, Jay, that's, you know, a little later in the season. You know, I felt like if Boise State had maybe played, or maybe Oregon would say the same thing if they played them a month later. You know,
probably agree with that.
They would have been looking better. But, you know, I think that get 4 or 5 games under your belt and kind of see who you are, especially with, you know, getting past the Ashton Gentile era, you know, here at Boise State and moving on and figuring some stuff out. And I think October 4th, kind of 5th or 6th game is probably, you know, 4th game, whatever it ends up being. They might sneak a conference game in there, I think, at some point, because they play the 6th and then they have 2 weeks off. So they'll have a conference game in September at some point, and then they go App State at home and then at Notre Dame. So I kind of like that.
I agree. It's just to think that Boise State's 2 losses this year were to Oregon, who, you know, again, was ranked number 1 most of the season, and then Penn State, who finishes the season top 5 as well. Their 2 losses were to 2 top 5 teams, and they finished ranked 8th. One of them they very well could have had, and Penn State, they would have had to play better, but you know, I think they belonged on the field with them.
Oh yeah, no doubt. 221 days. Like I said, we'll see. It wouldn't shock me if that game gets moved to
Why does that, when I was younger, it seemed like that was such a long time, and now as I get a little bit older, I'm like, we only got 221 days till this thing.
Well, one of the reasons is you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 weeks till spring ball. So you get 6 weeks till spring ball. You got basketball season to get you there. And then next thing you know, it's April 19th or whatever the spring game is this year. And then you've literally got, you know, 2 months, May and June. And then now early July, you're going to media days again. I mean, there really is, quote unquote, no. Everyone always says, you know, when I'm talking to sponsors or advertisers or people about the show and stuff, and they're like, well, what are you going to cover in the summer? What do you talk about in the off season? I'm like, you'd be surprised. There's actually not much. There's plenty to talk about. We once in a while we do the top 25 list, whatever. We're stretching a little bit, but most of the time, Jay, there's football and off-season talk all summer long. So we will continue to do that. As I said, we're we'll get into some position previews and things going into spring ball, and there's always going to be football talk. And I'm sure now that they're back in school and session, we may get Spencer again at some point here and really continue to do that. But let's switch and talk a little basketball. Big game coming up tomorrow night. Now a massive game based on what happened down there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We will do that in just a second, but I want to thank ropaint.com, our title sponsor. ROEpaint.com, our title sponsor. All your painting needs, whether it's those concrete coatings, and I can't recommend those enough. We've had them done twice, whether it's the interior, exterior painting. Our title sponsor, best in the business. There would be no BNN without our title sponsor. Hit them up, ropaint.com. This is a Taco Bell Tuesday, whether it's those Cantina Bowls, the $7 Lux Cravings box, all the great options at Taco Bell. Perfect time. We'll be going there today probably. Our kids got baseball workouts tonight, and we usually go before or after those. So Taco Bell, they're also hiring, TacoBellWorks.com, and get more information. We appreciate the SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile eBranch online banking right there on your smartphone. We are so happy, the Rains family, that we made the switch to ICCU. Just wish we had done it sooner. They have so many great options there and just great people. So you may be happy with your banking experience. I can promise you, you'll be loving your experience at Idaho Central Credit Union even better. Make the switch. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Unfortunately, the Broncos couldn't get to 70 in the game against New Mexico. They'll look to do it tomorrow night. And if they get 70 points, 2 days later, you get a hot dog and a fountain drink, and I think a banana as well for $2 at Jackson's. You use your Let's Go rewards. Anytime the Broncos score 70, you get a hot dog and a soda 2 days later at Jackson's. And don't forget, 25 cents from every hot dog sold goes to support the Horseshoe Collective at Boise State, and they donated $100,000 to the collective just off the 25 cents from the hot dogs in 2024. So you may not think it's a big deal, but that money adds up. So next time you're looking for a cold drink, some snacks, obviously gas, head over to Jackson's and help out our sponsor, Jackson's. And that's with your Let's Go Rewards app for that deal, by the way. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team, whether it's a spa for the back patio, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a pool table. They got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa. You can view all of their options at thespateam.com. Hey, final chance. You want that Ashton Genty gear? The Blue and Orange store has it. The blueandorangestore.com. You can get some Ashton Genty gear. They still have some Fiesta Bowl gear as well. So commemorate the historic season, the number 8 final ranking with some final merchandise from the season. Again, the blueandorangestore.com. You can go online, order anywhere in the world, or you can just go into the mall, Boise Town Square Mall. They're on the second floor next to Pro Image. All right, Jay. By the way, it feels like a Friday for me, and it feels like the game was, it feels like a Monday, but it just feels so long ago that game was in Albuquerque. I don't know if it feels that way for you, but I stayed in Las Vegas for the weekend with the family and had an awesome time and culminated yesterday with the Blues game. So I think I posted a picture on Twitter, so everyone saw that. And I know I was texting you and Jay or you and Johnny a little bit. Hey, I told you Blues are undefeated when we go to Vegas to see them. It took a shootout, and it was a little more stressful than even my 7-year-old son looks over and goes, "This is stressful, Dad." And so it was fun. They pulled it out in the shootout, 5-4 in overtime, and then we hustled to the airport and ended up coming home. And I will have a day at home today, coach some baseball tonight, and then back on the road tomorrow morning to Denver to go to Colorado State. A little earlier game tomorrow, 6 o'clock game. I like that.
Take it.
8 or 9 o'clock game. So especially on the road when I got to hightail it back down to Denver and stuff. It's I like the 6 o'clock game, but fun weekend for the Rains clan, seeing the Blues down there in Vegas. And I got to tell you, Jay, just the city of Vegas, just thinking about it now that they have the Raiders, now that they have the Knights, and I saw where the baseball stadium, they've already got the ground, broke there or whatever and stuff. It is just, I know they had the conference tournaments and all that, but they were kind of dancing around some of this stuff, in terms of sports and all that. And now that they're all in on sports, it's a game changer. It's pretty cool. Whether your team's playing down there, like people, if you're a Mariners fan and you want to go to Vegas for a weekend or a Seahawk game or whatever, or if you're just a sports fan in general, what are we going to go to Celine Dion tonight, or what are we going to go to Garth Brooks? Oh, let's go see, Sidney Crosby's in town or whatever. It's just it's a show. It's an extra thing for people to do. And it was, awesome atmosphere, awesome time. My kids had a great time, and the Blues won, so came back with a little thicker wallet in the process.
Not a boy. Is the stadium there's not going to be domed, right?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That just hit me because when we go down there, when we went to Mountain West Media Days this last year, it was 119 degrees.
Yeah. I've seen some pictures of it. I don't believe it. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Oh, someone's saying it will be. Maybe it will be.
Okay. I was going to say, it almost, you can't play, a number of days in a row in 120 degrees.
The way they got it angled, it will kind of, the whole outfield, whatever will be like the strip. It's going to be pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, Dan Lima. Thanks for watching. Dan says it will be a dome. So
I've still never gone to a professional event in Vegas. I went to the Pac-12 tournament. Obviously, I've gone to Mountain West tournament. Covered games down there. Covered games, I guess, in professional venue. I saw the Pac-12 championship, the final one as we knew it, between Oregon and UW last year, with Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. Obviously, covered Boise State there a few times, but I've never gone and watched the Knights. Been tempted to a couple times, but I think it was like a year or two ago, after Boise State got eliminated from the Mountain West tournament, something lined up, but tickets were they were too much for me to just go have fun by doing that. So yeah.
We even talked. Remember, you and me talked about going to the first half of the when we were in the Heisman ceremony. I think the Giants were hosting the Ravens or something.
Yeah.
We briefly thought about going to do that, and you smartly
mostly because tickets.
You went and bought jewelry for your wife. I went to a bar and watched football. You won that one. You got home and won that one. That was a smart decision on your part.
It was. I think it was worth not going to the football game for that too. The reason why though is like we got online and it was like tickets were on the resale market for like literally $2. Like it would have cost us like nothing to go, and we could have seen Lamar. And had they won the Super Bowl, maybe I would have regretted it a little bit more. But yeah. By
the way, I threw a video. Here's my son's watching the Blues take the ice. And I was bummed because I didn't know the Blues were picking up.
These are good seats.
Bennington, yes, let's go. Hockey, like I know who the starting goalie is, but who's the first player off the ice for the game. We went down here before. They got the showgirls. I mentioned being a show day. There's the showgirls standing there watching, trying to distract the other team during warm-ups. And then, we went. These were not our seats. We went down right by the ice for the warm-ups. And Braden Shen, number 10 on the Blues, the captain of the Blues, just a really good dude. And I worked pretty hard for this. I'm not going to lie to you. I should have been right behind them, pointing for like 10 straight minutes. Like, hey, these kids right here, like hoping somebody is been around here would kind of take notice of them. And the captain, number 10, Braden Shen, sees them, and then before the warm-ups are over, comes over and flips 2 pucks up. And with the way the netting is, you have to work, and you have to like flip it just right and then kind of shake the glass a little bit to get it to fall down. And 2 pucks, both boys got a puck. I don't know where they are. And then sure enough, he scores the first goal of the game, and he scores the winning shootout goal.
I didn't know.
For the Blues, and he gave the boys a puck before the game. Pretty cool.
I didn't know he had the winner in the shootout too. That's awesome.
He scored the second goal, and then once Bennington made the last save, that ended up being I don't know how they count that, but
that's really cool.
Shootout, so it was
pretty cool. The boys will remember that forever. Real quick, BJ, do they do that? You sent me a picture of the pucks. Do they do like commemorative pucks? Like
they must do it
every game.
Some sort of commemorative puck for every game for the warm-ups.
That's wild.
Yep. There's the boys holding their pucks there.
Yeah, you can't see it. You might not be able to see, but
I wish I had it. Maybe next time
they have the logos of both teams on there, so it's like what game you were at, all that.
Yeah, I think they took, which just makes it. Which normally some rubber practice puck wouldn't mean as much, but the fact that they do,
they
probably give that to charities or auction them off or something. I don't know, but the fact that makes it much more personal. Those kids have a story to tell, and they have the actual the actual puck there. So
it's not like not like the MLB does that. That's pretty cool.
They just say batting practice ball or whatever. They don't have the team on it. No, we were not able to get the Circa glass seats for the game. Hockey is incredible to watch live. And I mentioned it being a show though, Jay. Like come out onto the ice, they have a little show they do, and they have out, and they make it good for kids, adults. They have the drum line there. So it was cool. I highly recommend it. So like I said, they're up 4-2, and I may or may not, Jay, have had a rooting interest in the score finishing 4-2. And there was about 4 minutes to go, and then they pull the goalie early, which some teams do. And whenever the Blues used to do it, they would give up a goal right away and then be down 5-2. But somehow they pull the goalie with like 4 minutes left. They win a face-off. They score to make it 4-3. And now I'm like, oh, man, we need an empty netter. Like, let's just at least win the game. Then nope, they pull them again. I think 30 seconds left. They give up the tying goal. And you're thinking, okay, you give up 2-goal lead in the last 4 minutes. Like, you're done in overtime. And they had a couple of really good chances in overtime. The Knights did, as my one son said, that the guy sold. That's the new thing, Jan, if you're familiar with that. If you do good, you're cooking. If you do bad or mess up, you sold. You're selling. And so one of the guys sold, and then I went to a shootout, and the Blues got to win. But highly recommend hockey if you're looking for something to do with some kids.
Maybe next time in Vegas. Yeah,
yours might be a little too young still for
probably, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no, dude, I cannot wait, man. We're gonna be I think you're gonna be very similar, man. You're gonna be taking your kids to see sporting events and dad-son trips to go see the Mariners at some point. I think it's awesome, man. You're not that far away, but it's a game changer, man. It's pretty cool. Brooks is
only 1.5, but the other day he was actually content watching some NFL football versus Bluey or any one of the other truck shows or whatever. So I'll take that as a win.
All right. Now that I was on my tangent, I'm going to thank a few more sponsors here real quick, and then we'll dive into the basketball talk. Should changes be made to the starting lineup? What do you guys think? Get it in the chat. Who would your starting five be for tomorrow night's game against Colorado State? We'll ask Jay Tust his thoughts on the starting lineup here in about 60 seconds. But first, we want to thank Lithia Ford of Boise, lithiafordboise.com. They got some great sales and things going on right now, and make sure you have that four-wheel drive vehicle. The snow, the ice, the winter is coming. Make sure you have a vehicle equipped for an Idaho winter, whether it's an F-150 or any of their great options. lithiafordboise.com. View their full inventory online. Do your research ahead of time like the Rains family did. Then when you go in, test drive it, and you're on your way in a couple hours. We appreciate Jim Sturk and company. View their vehicles online or check out their showroom in person, their lot, Lithia Ford of Boise. Hey, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. We'll pick a Matt Bauscher Real Estate player of the game tomorrow night in Fort Collins. When you buy or sell a home with Matt, you get to meet everybody in the picture there. Just great folks and great people, and we're just very appreciative of Matt and his team. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. I saw firsthand when we bought and sold our home why he's the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. I know everybody has 5 friends that are realtors, but if you want the best service and help you and fight for you to get the best possible deal, it's Matt Bauscher and BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Shop Ridley's.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Locations across the Treasure Valley, the Magic Valley, the state of Idaho, surrounding states. Just great people. When you walk into a Ridley's, it just feels, you just get that hometown feel. It just feels great to go in there. Friendly staff, great environment, and the prices are top notch as well. Download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line at shopridleys.com. Transportation Compliance Service, transcompservice.com. 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 If you're looking to get into the trucking industry, they can help you out, all the paperwork and things, the DOT overweight. Maybe you never thought of the trucking industry as a career path, but it's booming right now. Get more information and sign up today. Transportation Compliance Service, transcompservice.com. Hey, Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com. Healthy eating options, almost 10,000 combinations, steak, shrimp, chicken, fish. You can have it delivered anywhere in the Treasure Valley. You don't even have to go into the store. You just do it online at leanfeastmeridian.com. leanfeastmeridian.com. Go on in and into the store there if you'd like and make your purchase. And it's all done by weight. It's all fully customizable, all different diets. And it's good 5 days in your refrigerator, so you can have it delivered or order on Sunday or Monday and have lunch all week or dinners or whatever you like. That's leanfeastmeridian.com, and it's 2 minutes in the microwave. It's just so easy to use. So, hey, speakpipe.com/BNN. If you want to leave us a voicemail, I did not check today. I forgot. So if you left us a voicemail over the weekend, we'll get to that this week. But if you have any thoughts on the basketball team, the football team, whatever you got, Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 20 years. They're the sponsor of the voicemail inbox line. And whether it's a re-roof or repair and inspection, an estimate, they got you covered. Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com, and that website to leave us the voicemail is speakpipe.com/BNN. Hey, 2 weeks from today, we're going to draw this in the next day or two. I just need to check with a couple sponsors on this, make some final things before we do this. But this is going to be in the next couple of days. We are really close to doing this. It's February 4th. 2 weeks from today is the trip. Round trip for two on a private jet, 2 tickets to the game, a hotel night at Circa. It's going to be an awesome trip, and it's for a lucky paying subscriber of Bronco Nation News. And so we appreciate everybody that is a paying subscriber, and we're going to pick someone here in the next day or two and have an awesome time. So if you're on the fence about a subscription to BNN, it's your last chance here to jump in and subscribe. $50, BNN 50 deals, the promo code. You get 20% off, and you can be entered in the contest to win that private jet trip to the game at in Las Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, in 2 weeks. Down there in February 4th for the conference game. So looking forward to that. All right, the game on Friday night. By the way, Jay, did you see on TV, apparently the sign that was out there? I have connected with this. It was all in good fun. It was, like I said, they could have put a lot meaner stuff about me on the sign. They had some fun here, and I actually need to finalize this, but I have been in communication via direct message with the young man right there that made the sign, and I'm going to be hooking him up with a free subscription to BNN. So he's a aspiring journalist, it turns out, at New Mexico, and seemed like a really nice guy. Someone got us in touch with him, and I was kind of having some fun on social media. I said, I need, if I can find this guy a lifetime subscription to BNN, and the guy reached out to me and said he would love one. So I said, all right, man, we'll make it happen. So kind of cool how that worked out, but that was one of the only cool things about that game, man. 21-15 or something there, 25-19. They were down 6, and then it ended up being a 23-2 run to end the half, and it was just a blowout there. And as Leon Rice told me on the post game, they just kind of got punked and weren't tough enough, weren't physical enough, and the atmosphere got to them, and it was just they just laid an egg down there, man. No really other way to say it on Friday night.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, they did close it to within 6 despite that sluggish start. It was 25-19, and then New Mexico just blasted them with another 23-2 run or something like that. And man, it has been very rare occasions where we've covered this basketball team for a long time, and just to get blown out like that. I mean, we've seen them lose by 20 before. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't happen often. But the way they lost, like from the jump, they got crushed in like every way, shape, and form. I mean, whether it be fast break points, out in transition, New Mexico was rolling. Points off turnovers, New Mexico was rolling. I think at one point in time, at halftime, New Mexico was up 27, and it was something like they had a 15-0 advantage in points off turnovers and a 20-0 advantage in fast break points. Like I've never seen anything like that in my time. Covering the team. Like there's been some bad losses, but that was wild. That was shocking, to be honest.
It was worse than that. It was a 22-0 in fast break and 17-0 in points off turnovers. And a lot of those were the same points because they were, and as Leon calls it, turnovers for touchdowns. They would turn the ball over at the top of the key or whatever, and it was one quick pass, and then it was a easy layup at the other end. And in that building, you just cannot let them get out and run like that, because then the roof feels like it's caving in.
Yeah. This is clearly a really talented basketball team, but their backs are up against the wall because of the expectations of this team, and the margin for error, it's minimal now. I mean, this is a big game coming up on Wednesday at Fort Collins, and BJ, like that's not an easy place to play. Like it's no. Is it the Pit? No. Is it Viejas? No. But is it Logan? No. But it is a tough place to play. It's a little bit smaller. Their students typically get into basketball, and it's not going to be like an easy road victory. I mean, this is going to test this team, and they're really close to being must-win scenario because even if they were to win out and lose to the Mountain West Conference Championship game or something like that, they'd have 7 losses on the season. And depending on what else happens around the league, like I'm just not sold on the NCAA selection committee letting, more than 4 teams in this year. Like I just don't, and even a 4th team seems like it's got to fall perfectly. And if you are that fourth team, I don't even want to think about the destination because it's probably a place that haunts Boise State for that matter.
Right now, if you said you're either not in or you're going to Dayton, they would certainly go to Dayton.
Oh, you're absolutely cool with going to Dayton. I mean, yeah, but that's really that's the only situation or circumstance where you're okay with that. So they need to come out and they need to perform better. And I think the thing that kind of stands out to me about this team, BJ, and I know they have tough players. Like I understand that, but there was a time there where they really embraced getting in a brick fight and being the toughest, more physical team, out rebounding you and things like that. And the one thing that stood out to me the other night is I'm questioning, does this team have that in them? And maybe they do, but they kind of have to go out there and prove it. And this is meant to be more of a compliment to the guys that have, put on the blue and orange uniform, whether it be an Abu Kijab or a Marcus Shaver Jr. or a Max Rice or a Mladen Armouche. Those guys were bad dudes. Like, they were tough. And if a game called on them, try to win a high scoring game, sure, they try to go do it. But there were a number of occasions where, okay, let's keep this thing in the 60s. And we're gonna hit you with a knockout at the end of this thing, and that really kind of defined some of those NCAA tournament teams. Even the one that won 24 games a couple of years ago, that was a brick fight team. They were perfectly okay slugging it out in the 60s with you, and those teams had a lot of toughness. And this team is more offensively gifted than some of those teams for sure. But could this team get in a brick fight and be the tougher team? We'll see eventually.
Yeah. I mean, they won a game a couple years ago, 42-37 against San Diego State. Like, at San Diego State, they won a game by scoring 42 points. Like, you have to, sometimes you got to just dig in and find it. And I know a lot of folks on this chat don't want to hear it, but that was another game where you mentioned Max Rice, and he was a guy that was maybe as polarizing as anybody in this city, period, in a long time, just because of who he was and his dad being the coach and whatever. But I think people are finding out more and more that there were a lot of things that maybe even didn't show up on the stat sheet that guy provided, and that's why he played as much as he did. And in that, getting under guys' skin, not being afraid to go in there, take a charge, do whatever, just kind of he was the kind of guy that in a game like that, you talk about, a brick fight or just being tougher or not getting the atmosphere against you. I mean, and I'm not even talking about, they could have used him hitting a couple threes in that game too. No doubt about it. When they were down 10-2 in that game at the pit last year before he went and scored 30. So, or 35, whatever it was. But that was a Max Rice kind of game for a lot of reasons. And you're right, man. They just don't have that. Like, I don't want to say enforcer. That's not necessarily the right word, but they just need a guy that is just not afraid, Alvaro Cardenas in a sense kind of is that guy. He'll talk a little trash. He's fiery. He gets there, but you're right. I mean, you can't just have one of those guys. You need to have a couple. And, the Omar Stanley types on the rebound, on the boards and stuff, you just got to have more of that. And so you're right, man, that year they had Kijab and some of those guys, and that's a great example. And as Bronco 130 says, floor slappers, you just need to have guys like that. And it's I said on the post game show, Jay, I don't even think there's really, and this is not said to be disrespectful to anybody, and it's not said to be to say that they don't have a chance, but I think right now talking about at-large bid to the NCAA tournament is like is, I would say stupid, but there's really no reason for it at this point. Like, if they win every game, could they still get one? Probably so. Is that probably going to happen? Probably not. We can talk about that if they win the next 5 games or whatever. But I think right now, like, you got to get the best seed you can for the conference tournament and see what happens down. Take your chances down there. And if you win 14 of your next 15 or whatever it is they have left and get in position and maybe you're have an outside shot, great. But I don't want to say laughable, but it is a little silly, I think, for this team right now to be saying we want an at-large, like we're going to put ourselves. The numbers aren't great. Nothing's great. You're right. Is it technically a must-win tomorrow if they lose tomorrow but win every game they have left? Could they still get an at-large bid? Probably so. They'd be one of the hottest teams in America. Have a couple nice road wins. They probably could, but they got to start showing that to us. And the thing is, Jay, that wasn't necessarily a quote unquote bad loss, by the fact that they lost at the pit, they were supposed to lose by 3.5, but it was just the way it happened. And when you combine that with the tough one against Utah State and, how they, I mean, you look at the resume, and the only one that really sticks out in terms of just, oh, I can't believe they lost that, was the Boston College game. But the way some of these others have happened, the San Diego State game being at home, and you're talking about, not putting up a great fight in the second half, and that one, and losing the lead, and losing that one, and then having the lead against Utah State and letting it slip away. I mean, it's just, we've been saying this from day one, but just something hasn't clicked yet. And if you ask Leon, he'll say that's great because there's plenty of time left to kind of still get it clicking and get it going. But at some point, it is what it is. It's just a team that all the pieces maybe don't quite fit the way you thought they would. You try to make it work the best you can, win as many games as you can, and get hot at the end. And maybe this is a team that they've done this different ways. Maybe this is the team that just kind of keeps working to figure. I mean, again, whoever we feel the top team is, I guess now it's probably New Mexico, but it was Utah State there for a while, and Boise State had them beat pretty much on their own floor. Like I saw that New Mexico team. They looked great, but I'm not going to the conference tournament saying Boise State has no chance to beat them. Like, and it's no disrespect to them. Like, I think Boise State could beat any team on their schedule. I think Boise State could. I mean, there's years where we maybe tried to talk ourselves into it, where it's like, oh yeah, they could get hot and win the conference tournament. Like if the matchups fall their way. No, like I think Boise State is clearly talented enough if they can figure it out by the end of the season to go win the conference tournament. So I hate to say on January 21st, it's all about the 3 games in March right now, but the mindset, at least for me, is that, hey, get as best seed you can, get the best path you can, try to figure this out the best you can. If you go on some crazy run and you're in the mix, great. If not, try to set yourself in position for the NCAA tournament for the conference tournament, and then see what happens down in Vegas.
Yeah, but that's another reason why this game on Wednesday is pretty important. And you want to talk about seeding at the Mountain West Conference tournament. I think by all means, you don't want to play that opening round game. You want that first round bye. Yep. And like
now they don't have, they're the 6th seed right now.
That's kind of wild looking at the standings and thinking about that. But Colorado State's technically in front of Boise State right now in the Mountain West Conference standings, and so that's why this game is really important for a number of reasons why. But that's another reason why this game is really important. Another reason you want to see them play well so that they go into their bye over the weekend with some nice momentum. You don't want to go in on a 2-game losing streak where the first one of those games you just got absolutely boat raced. Like, you want to have some type of positive momentum going into your bye. And then after that, the schedule is kind of manageable for those next couple of weeks, right? So that's where you provide yourself or maybe put yourself in a position to get hot and put together a little bit of a winning streak, which this team needs to do. Did I go into this season thinking that a trip to Fort Collins was going to be one of the most important games of the season? Like, I knew it was going to be tough, but right now it's one of the most important games left because it is still early. There's a ton of basketball left to be played. I get it.
Yep.
But I kind of view this as a big time swing game to where if you win it, everything's still in front of you. If you lose it, man, I'll go back to what you said. It might be kind of silly to talk about at-large bids because you're going to have to go on quite the winning streak to even put yourself back in the conversation of that. And so then all of a sudden you got to shape everything up to where, or think about your plan to where you load up for the Mountain West tournament, because then you're going to need to win that thing. There's still a lot of basketball left, so some of this stuff is just silly to speculate about. But either way, this team needs to play better on Wednesday in Fort Collins and show what they're capable of. And I fully expect they will. Like, I do. I fully expect they will. I bet you we're going to see a more aggressive Tyson Degenhart early in that game. It still kind of blows my mind at times how sometimes we get in these big games and we're sitting there at halftime on press row, BJ, and you're looking at Boise State and I don't even care what the score is, but Tyson Degenhart's got like 4 shots and 3 threes, and you're thinking of how good this guy is, in the paint. And I would expect them to get him going early. What's that?
At halftime, I looked down at the stat sheet. I'm like, yeah, wow. And then second half, sure enough, like 3 or 4 possessions in a row to start the second half. He just puts his head down and gets to the rim, and it works out pretty well most of the time. So that is a big key, getting him going. It is, again, this sounds crazy too, Jay, but like Boise State is technically only 2 games out of first place. So I mean, and you play.
That's why this is a big swing game, man. This is a big swing game.
Both the teams that are ahead of them, they still have to come to Boise, New Mexico, and Utah State. You still get, Nevada in Boise. Like, you still get a lot of these teams have to come to Boise. The San Diego State's the only, one, and then UNLV they already beat. But, the loss to San Diego State stings. But a lot of these teams ahead of them in the standings, they either play twice, or they, play once, but they still have to come to Boise. So there's a lot of games left, and I don't know how it would shake out numbers wise, but I do have a hard time believing, Jay, if Boise State were somehow to find a way to win the league, even if it's with 5 or 6 losses, like you win the Mountain West regular season, like you would think that would, if not get you in, get you pretty darn, at least under heavy consideration for the NCAA tournament. So that'd be pretty crazy to win the regular season and not get in. But, that should be the goal too. Just try to win first place is still alive. You're 2 games out and see what happens. I already kept you long, but quickly, what changes, if any? We have had some comments here, Jay, but what do you, the lineup just continue. Nothing against Emmanuel Ugbo. I'm just not quite sure if he's a guy that needs to be starting any longer. I like him. I think he has potential. He might be that kind of bruiser we're talking about in terms of just getting in there and causing some problems. But I think he's more of an impact guy that I think would be better coming off the bench, when they need a couple minutes here and there. It's obviously, Degenhart and Cardenas, as Don says, non-negotiables, agree. And then I kind of like, I think that in my mind, and not just because his dad watches the show, but I think Javen Buchanan has done enough that he needs to be playing 30-plus minutes a game. I really like his game. He's been a little up and down. I get it. I think he needs to play more. And then I think that 5th spot to me, I think Stanley. I think Stanley too. We've talked a lot about him, Jay. I know something's not right. It's kind of the chicken or the egg, but I would let him get his minutes and kind of work through some things as well. I think over time, he's still one of your better players. And then it comes down to that final spot. Is it Meadow? Is it Bowie? Is it Lockett? I really liked what I've seen from Bowie lately. I think he should play some more. I mean, it is kind of mind-blowing because they have some really nice pieces, and you look at he's got to play, but it just hasn't worked out like you said. But I know, as Leon says, it's the final 4 minutes you worry about, not the first. So who starts doesn't really matter. So I guess we're kind of talking about who are your 5 that you want to see play in crunch time or get most of the minutes right now, not necessarily who's starting. But what do you think in terms of the depth chart here?
I think that you have to find the 5 guys that you are comfortable going down with. And what I mean, and not to say that you will go down, but you got to find the 5 dudes that if you have them on the floor the most, and at the end of the season it doesn't work out, you say, hey, those are my 5 that I will ride or die with. And that's often been the case in the past for this team. And yeah, they're deeper certainly than they have been in years past, but that's what you got to do. And hopefully Omar can kind of continue to come along and regain that confidence, and maybe he can be a part of that equation. I agree that Tyson and Cardenas are the non-negotiables for sure, but yeah, Bowie and Buchanan are 2 guys that certainly caught my eye. And I would think about those guys. Bowie looks fearless. I think he seems tough. He seems fearless. He kind of also gives me the instincts of being maybe in the group of those guys in the past that I mentioned that can dig in and require, perform whatever the game is required of them. He's young. He's young, but he certainly seems a little bit older than he plays. And we'll just kind of have to wait and see, because Andrew Meadows obviously having a pretty good season as well for the most part.
Yeah.
And
I know with 15 games left or whatever, it's crazy to say, hey, next year, but and I'm by no means giving up on this season here, but you do look like maybe people don't want to hear it, whatever, it's all about this year and ripping on the coaches, whatever, that's fine. But the young nucleus they have here, Jay, you think about next year's potential, and if you can get a Buchanan, back, and you get a Bowie and a Lockett and a Meadow and, Ugbo and some of these, Pearson Carmichael, who we haven't even mentioned, looks like he's going to be a player. You go find 1 or 2 key guys in the portal again. And, for every time you get a Dylan Anderson where it doesn't work out, you find a Cardenas and a Buchanan where it does. I mean, they're at minimum 2 for 3 on that, and there's still, the verdict's still not out, I think, on Anderson's future here, but or time here, but so I mean, they've had a pretty good track record of finding a key piece in the portal. And if you can find a key guy or 2 to go with this young nucleus, I do think the future is bright here, whether folks want to hear that right now or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. Excited for Wednesday's game, and we'll see how this thing swings.
All right. We'll be heading tomorrow. I don't know about a show tomorrow yet, guys. We'll be in touch. I was going to go straight to Colorado, change my plans to come back with the family last night to be here today. So I may have to fly tomorrow morning during the showtime. So we'll let you guys know on social media if there is a show tomorrow. We will for sure have a pregame show, 5:00 live from Colorado State, Moby Arena. You're a Fort Collins guy, Jay, right? You like going to Fort Collins on those football
I do. It's
trips.
a good trip. It's a good trip. Yep.
Yeah. I like the 6 o'clock game too. So a little shorter game. What do we got coming up this week? Just basketball coverage, or what's anything special KTVB's got cooking in the sports department?
Yeah, mostly hoops coverage, but we got some high school stuff that's starting to heat up. We're only about a month away from the girls' state playoffs and 5 or 6 weeks away from the boys. So yeah, things are starting to kind of heat up on the prep scene as well.
All right, so make sure you're checking KTVB and watching them for all your sports coverage. We appreciate Jay for jumping on as always. Appreciate all you guys. Go subscribe if you can. Go tell your friends, like and share, all that good stuff. Hit up Taco Bell, our Tuesday sponsor. We appreciate Taco Bell. Again, if you're looking for a job, check online, tacobellworks.com. And we thank Andy Rowe, our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and Company, roepaint.com. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Check BroncoNationNews.com. Nathan Carroll's got an article going up talking basketball here shortly. And then we'll probably talk to you from Fort Collins tomorrow. Maybe we'll get a morning show in. I'll let you know. But appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bronco Nation News live, BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by RowPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.